baby. Fantastic.
By StreamYard.
Yeah. Roger Rabbit. How did we pick this?
Well, we watched Chinatown.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, we watched Chinatown, and then we were like, have you ever seen The Two Jakes? Is that what it's called? The Two Jakes?
Yeah.
That's a direct sequel.
Right.
And then someone said, is there a third one? And then I think Rumjo was like, yeah, it's Roger Rabbit or something. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
That checks out mostly. That's how I remember it. Okay.
Now,
I remember somebody told, like, there was something I read where somebody's like, Roger Rabbit is just Chinatown with cartoon characters. And so I was like, well, I haven't seen Chinatown in a long while, and I'm not going back to see it. And then it came up here. It's like, oh, Troy's got Chinatown, and he's got Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We should watch Chinatown and then watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And I don't know if it's tainted your experience of watching them back to back and like the way you remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit now that we've just recently watched Chinatown. But it definitely retainted mine. So
what do you mean retainted? I'm just curious. Like, did it make Roger Rabbit more fun or less good, or did it have an impact on Chinatown?
No. I still think Chinatown is it makes me appreciate Roger Rabbit more. And I actually think, I think we talked about it, how, like, film students are like, use Chinatown as an example of, like, a perfect screenplay, right? Mm-hmm. And the way I look at it is, I think Who Framed Roger Rabbit is just as perfect of a screenplay, but it is not such a bummer, bro, at the end. It is like...
Oh, sure, okay.
There are... Yeah, and I also think that, as like intriguing as the idea of like the water in Los Angeles and how they used it, and I'm sure it's based off of like basically truish stuff, like it's so much funnier to me to think about some guy talking about a freeway and like, looking back on it, it's like some guy talking about a freeway, and as you're living in this world, you're like, that sounds like the freakiest, dumbest thing ever. Everybody's like, this freeway idea is the dumbest thing ever. Who would want this in Los Angeles? And so, like, there's more layers, I feel like, with Roger Rabbit now when you think about it as, like, a Chinatown thing. There's, like, there's, like, Chinatown stuff with it. But just, like, in general, in my opinion, it's, like, it's just perfect. It's, like, a perfectly, like, everything kind of, like, comes back and it all like kind of wraps up, and it's not a bummer, which is always good, and it's funny and it's well acted and it's awesome. So I appreciate it. I appreciated the movie. It's like, you when you get adult, like, you appreciate certain things differently. But I feel like Roger Rabbit, you can appreciate it on multiple levels, and it's awesome.
Yeah, man. I hadn't. Did we lose Jeremy? Are you still here, Jeremy?
Yeah, sorry. My headset says the battery said it was dying, so I was.
Oh, sorry, brother.
Need to jump into action.
Yeah. No, I hadn't seen it since, when did it come out? 88, 89? Did we figure it? 88?
88.
Okay.
Directed by Robert Zemeckis.
Yes, right. That's right. So I haven't
Back to the Future fame.
Seen it since we got it for Christmas the same year that Batman we got for Christmas. So that I might not have seen it till 1989 or 1990. I guess.
90, yeah.
And those were, if I remember correctly, they were like They were like some of the first cheap VHS, like, consumer market. So, like, I think $10 or whatever. That's why we got them in our stocking. It's like, oh, okay. So we just, by default, I watched Batman 100 times, and my sister watched Roger Rabbit. I think I saw it once. Watching it now again, I remember very distinct parts. I'm sure you would, know which they are. It's just him getting steamrolled at the end, which terrified me, as I would have been like, what, 7?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very scary scene.
So I would say bummer bro for kids. For adults, that's where I was laughing the most. So, what a trip. I had to watch it twice. I'm super glad that we chose to do it, or someone had the idea to do it back to back. Yeah. I mean, the only thing as an adult that irritated me was they tell the weasels they're going to laugh themselves to death about 10 times up to like 3 seconds before they do it. And it's like, I know, kids, I get it. like it would have helped the kids kind of go like, oh yeah, they're gonna laugh them. Well, look, they're gonna laugh them to death. But the scene is hilarious with them laughing to death. But it's like, man, I didn't say it again. Last thing I'll say real quick, because then we'll probably just get into it, is boy oh boy, not really a kids movie, but I can understand why kids would like the cartoons, especially kind of towards the end. But not a kids movie. Now I understand why I don't remember anything about it from when I was 7 or 8, because it's way more adult, way more for adults.
I was just going to talk about. Sorry, go ahead, Jerry.
So I was just going to call out, I believe in the unverified facts. It's a great time to bring it up. But this is one of those. It's not a verified fact, but I believe we can practically verify it. I can't find it right now, but I believe this is the only example of Warner Brothers and Disney characters ever appearing in the same movie together, ever in film. Like just one movie. One of the unverified facts. Well, I'll jump into this one. Since the movie was being made by Disney's Touchstone Pictures, so Touchstone Pictures, that's not as big of a production company now as it once was. It was supposed to be kind of like, oh, it's Disney, but it's more adult. Like there's probably some R-rated Touchstone Pictures movies, I would guess.
That'd be a fun thing to look at a list of those, because I mean I'm sure. I mean I'm not sure. I remember that logo distinctly. I guess I didn't watch it on this. I probably skipped through to the credits, but okay, Touchstone. It's like
that logo's excellent too. Like how it like goes zzz, and then it does the little thing, and then the whatever. So Touchstone Pictures, Warner Brothers would only use their biggest cartoon stars, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, if they got as much screen time as Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. And for that reason, they were always in pairs, such as the piano battle between Daffy Duck and Donald and the parachute scene with Bugs and Mickey. This was continued with Porky Pig and Tinkerbell at the movie's ending. I thought that was very interesting. There had to have been a lot of, or maybe there wasn't, I don't know. But when you think about the monstrosity that Disney is now, like they would never allow this now. Allow Mickey Mouse to show up in a movie like this. They are so like corporate controlled and like focus group driven, and like everything needs to be like perfect and sanitized and exactly how we draw it up in the multiple storyboard meetings. You know, modern Disney would never allow this to happen.
I have no idea company size, but like, couldn't Disney just buy Warner Brothers, or is Warner Brothers does Warner Brothers own a bunch of other stuff as well that makes them a huge company? I can't. I honestly don't know.
They do now. Yeah, they were DC. Big. They owned DC. They were owned by AT&T. AT&T just recently spun them off, and they kind of merged with like the Discovery Channel and all the different like reality TV things underneath that. So now it's Warner Brothers Discovery. So they own DC. They have the video game. They have like Mortal Kombat, and they have the video game rights to like Mortal Kombat and such. They do like they own HBO. So like Max is owned by Warner Brothers. They own all like a lot of I think the old Hanna-Barbera stuff. I think they eventually bought that. So there's a lot of stuff. It's a big conglomerate. There's just tons of little things that have been over the years.
That answered my question. It's they're not just a movie studio, and I think they used to do like Prince Records, which is why he was on the Batman soundtrack. So it's not just Batman '89 and Prince Records. It's Mortal. Yeah. Okay. So no. Well, if they would allow it, I'm sure they would love to merge. But like, that's a thing of, there are two huge companies that have been buying up other companies that now it's like, well, you can't really buy us because we're worth so much.
Yeah. And at the time, Disney was big, but they aren't Disney big today, and Warner Brothers was big, but not Warner Brothers big today also. So like they would have been, I wouldn't say either company was like scrappy, like, or anything like that, but like at the time they were more on an even plane with like a lot of other production houses, where like Disney is gigantic now. And I mean, probably it wouldn't, I don't know if this would be accurate, but wouldn't Warner Brothers and Disney be the two probably biggest production companies now? Maybe Paramount would be in there.
So Paramount, this is like CBS and Viacom. They're big. You've got Universal, which is owned by Comcast.
Forgot about
They're very
Universal.
big. Yeah, Universal's pretty big now.
It used to be like,
I don't know.
like 30 or 20 different, like
Yeah,
some are a little bigger, some are a little smaller, and now it's like 5 or 6 pretty much.
yeah.
And then
You get
A24.
A24 and Blumhouse, or they make just
Yeah.
small stuff. It's like video games, right? It's you have massive AAA games, and then you've got very small like indie games, and
Yeah.
that's like the Blumhouses and such. And then there's nothing in between. And there's
Well,
I should say there's very little in between.
that's a great comparison, actually, because there's been a lot of talk about how like AA video games have pretty much died, and you have indie and you have AAA and nothing in between. And it's kind of the same in movies to a degree. You have very indie, you have AAA, and then A24, whatever they are.
Yeah. They don't make the $50 million or $30 million like buddy comedy movies that they put out in the theaters that make like
Rush Hour
$250 million
4.
anymore. Yeah, well, I mean, they could make Rush Hour is more like an action comedy. I'm thinking of like the Judd Apatow movies. They don't make those really anymore. Like they're gone. Romantic comedies are basically gone too. They're not very much. They're not really made out there. They're just released on streaming stuff. So
a great example for Stacy's birthday, we watched Tommy Boy. Which is great. I haven't seen it in years, but like a movie like that never would come to theaters now.
Probably
unless
not.
it was Tommy Boy 2. Unless it was like based off of a prior property, right? Like Happy Gilmore 2. I bet it's going to cut. I don't know if that's just going to Netflix or if it'll be in theaters or not. But
a question for you guys in the same vein: would a sequel to Naked Gun come to theaters? Because I don't know if you guys saw that trailer drop today.
Yes.
For Naked Gun?
Yes.
Yeah. Liam Neeson. Naked Gun.
Liam Neeson is Leslie Nielsen's
Frank Drebin Jr.
And I'll tell you, Troy, I know I can see your face is telling me all I need to know right now. But watch the trailer.
I'm scowling so hardcore
watch the trailer
right now.
and you'll be a little more hopeful than I like when I saw it. I was like, please. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, okay. The humor.
The first part of it, I was like, eh. I mean, like I was like, all right, this is kind of weird. Hopefully, that's like not even in the movie. But like Liam Neeson, I think will be very funny in it. The last joke that they had at the very end, I was like, yes, it was so good. You'll have to watch it, Troy. But I was like,
well,
okay,
unfortunately now everyone's built it up, and my hipster card will not allow me to watch something that's been built up this much and enjoy it. So I'll probably be snarky and be like, that's stupid. You guys are dumb.
Troy, you got to watch it from our perspective. We both went in thinking that it was not going to be a good trailer or look very enticing, and I was like, okay,
hold on. I thought it was going to be good. I've got high hopes for this movie.
Isn't it directed by somebody pretty legitimate?
It was one of the Lonely Island boys.
Yeah, that's right. It struck me watching it as like whoever made this clearly loves the original a lot. That was the vibe I got. But yeah, the final joke is great.
So I want to go back to one thing real quick that this movie is really, really good at, and that's talking about when the one thing that Troy doesn't like, where they're talking about like, you're gonna laugh yourselves to death, right? Now, in a lesser movie, Bob Hoskins would have just out of nowhere done that whole routine that he did, but this movie is not just any other movie. The whole scene where he got drunk, right? After he got the pictures with Jessica or whatever, and then he like passed out, and they showed like the footage of his brother's desk, and then it goes up and it's showing like all of his. It's kind of going back in time to how they do it, and then it shows that when they were growing up, they were in like his dad was like a traveling clown, and that they were like clowns on the police force, like. They didn't tell it. It's not like there was somebody out there like, I remember when you used to be a clown.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
Eddie, you used to be a clown out there, and now look at you. It's like, nope. They just show the picture, and then at the end of the movie, it all pays off. It comes back, and you're like, oh, shit. And it's like, it's perfect.
Same thing with the Disappeary port. right?
Yeah.
They do it for 1 second, the cops, and then he does it at the end, which they had all these brilliant one-time setup and payoffs, which were great. And I said, it's not the end of the world to me. It's just something the second time I rewatched it, I was like, did they just really say that like for the fifth time? Like every time they laugh, they have to remind them, which again, totally cool.
is.
But there's so many other versions of the setup payoff that they didn't expect kids to be not smart enough to pick up on or whatever. But that one they just kept on doing. So yeah,
Right.
just that, just that. Just, again, I just
like
rewatched it. I was like, okay, yeah. And Judge Doom says that right before it happens too. So anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did love that payoff with the clowning thing, and I felt so smart watching it as an adult. Like I picked on up the first time I rewatched. I was like, that's gonna come back and pay off here at the end. So yeah,
Yeah. Man.
Good time to jump in on some unverified
facts, sure.
Supposedly, and I feel like I just feel like Rum's just gonna have heard this before. Supposedly, this is the most expensive movie made in the 1980s. It's a $70 million budget.
Wow.
180 million adjusted for inflation. This was the most expensive film produced in the 80s and has the longest on-screen credits for a film of that decade as well. So I assume at the end when credits roll.
Did either of you remember seeing it in the theater? I wanted to ask you that. Like, what did you did? Wow. Okay, Matt Jones. Do you remember when you first saw it?
I don't remember at all.
Okay, but I was going to ask, like, was it? It must have been like successful, but I mean, I was so young that I didn't really have an idea of like what was super popular. Even Batman, like, I didn't know it was a huge deal. I just, this is the tape that we got for Christmas, and I'm going to watch it. So, but it was like, not only did it make money, but like it was talked about, like it was a fad, not a fad, like yeah, whatever.
Domestic gross made 156 million, worldwide 329, which would have been that's blockbuster territory for that time, for sure. Released June 21st, 1988, so that's prime summer blockbuster release as well.
This is the 1988 is like the weirdest year in history for like your top 10. It's like you think about nowadays, like like 10 years ago, it was like Marvel, Disney animated movie, like Avatar at the top or whatever, right? Here's your top grossing. I think we talked about this actually in the previous iteration of the show.
I want this for every movie we do. I want this now. This is great. This is so cool. Okay,
number one box office movie of 1988.
Can you go from 10 to 1?
I will go from 10 to 1.
Okay.
Countdown. 10. Die Hard.
Oh.
Die Hard was the 10th top grossing movie.
80.
Number 9. Big with Tom Hanks. Got nominated for an Academy Award.
Big would come out on Netflix
Marshall.
now.
Penny Marshall directed that. Number 8. Cocktail, starring one Tom Cruise.
Never seen it.
This would not be the only time that Tom Cruise shows up. This list. Number 7. And so here's where things like start to get. I think Cocktail might be PG or it might be R. I don't know. I can't remember.
I think it's R. I think it's R.
It might be R. Okay. Number 7, a definite R. Fish Called Wanda.
Mm-hmm. Very R.
Like very R. Very bizarre as like a top 10. I think it's a great movie. I love it, but it is.
I just saw it for the first time in the last like 3 months. Stacy loves that movie. I never seen it. That should be on. That should be on the watch list.
On the list. There we go.
Well, we need to make a list of things to look for in the $5 Club. Here's the bad news. Really, sorry to interject. Whatever the Batman trilogy, the Christopher Nolan. $5 Club, but they're not eligible. But I just rewatched them, last week when they were $5. I would love to talk to those because they're like, do I like these still? I don't know. Anyway, in 2044 we can talk about them. But I should make a new list where we can be typing these because we've said about 20 now, and I'm like I completely forget to add them to my Amazon watch card. So yeah, sorry.
All good.
What number?
Okay. Number 6. Rambo 3. Okay. That doesn't surprise me as being a top 10 movie. That does not surprise me.
Stinker.
Number 5. We're in the top 5.
Okay.
Counting down from number 5. Twins. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
I loved that movie
PG.
when I was young.
I think that one was PG. I remember watching it when I was younger. So that's
just out of curiosity, you don't have to say it for all of them, but what's the box office numbers for that?
Oh, for Twins, 200. This is worldwide gross. This is worldwide, $216 million, almost 217.
Huge for 88, though.
I bet it costs Arnold. Well, Danny DeVito's in that too, I think.
And Twins would be like coming this weekend to Amazon Prime.
It cost $18 million to make, and it grossed $218 million. And this is the other thing we got to remember. This is the day where there's no streaming. There's none of this. So you got to make money on the box office. You got to make money on selling it to cable. You got to make money on selling it on a VHS. Like
dollar theater.
I don't know how. Like Hollywood was just making so much money back then. It is insane.
You can see why they're like, I don't like how things are now.
Yeah. Number 4. And I will go. So, just real quick, the bottom 2 were 20th Century Fox movies. Cocktail was a Buena Vista movie, so that's Disney. Fish Called Wanda was MGM. Rambo 3 was TriStar Carol Co., which is like the James Cameron used to be, I think, part of Carol Co. or whatever. But TriStar. Number 5 is Universal. Number 4, and number 3 were both Paramount. Number 4, Crocodile Dundee 2.
Oh,
what?
Successful to a very
Crocodile Dundee 2 was the 4th
Crocodile Dundee
highest
2.
grossing.
I like that movie.
That explains why there's a third one.
I have never seen that one. I've never seen either Crocodile Dundee.
That one either.
I'm going to add those to the list.
Hold on.
There
You've
you
never
go.
seen any Crocodile Dundee movie?
I know this is not a knife. This is a knife. That's all I know. That's
They're better than you would think.
They are way
I'd
better
like
than
to see
you
the
think.
first one.
I'd
like to see the first one.
I want to talk about that movie now. The way that movie ends gets me in the feels. I'm serious. Like
Crocodile Dundee 1 or 2?
1. I don't remember how the second one ends.
One of them they actually go to Australia, and one of them is in like New York City.
Well,
That's one.
The first one they start in Australia, and then they go to New York City. I want to say the second one they start
in New York, and then they have to go back. They go back to like get his land or something. Oh man, I hope they're $5. We might have to make an exception for Crocodile Dundee.
I'll contribute if need be. If it's $37.99,
that could be a new rule. It's like, if people will throw down to make it down to $5, I'll pay my $5.
The Patreon subscribers,
there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
So not to throw your top 3 into like complete disarray. Those were the only 2 sequels that are on this this list.
How beautiful is that, dude? How beautiful is that?
Beautiful. Number 3, you got to think of who are the biggest stars at that time. We've already got Stallone. We've got a Schwarzenegger. Bruce Willis showed up.
Tom Hanks was already there.
Who's the biggest comedian at that time?
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, Coming to America.
Wow.
Number 3.
Oh, man.
$289 million worldwide.
That dude was printing money because that was like between Beverly Hills Cops too, I'm guessing, and 48 Hours and
48 Hours was back in like 79, 80.
Really?
Then Beverly Hills Cop 1 and probably 2, and then probably Crocodile Coming to America, and then probably Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Man, Coming to America
Number 2
is like an institution. I feel like everyone I know has seen that. And granted, if they've seen
I've seen it on like syndicated. I've not seen like the real version.
But one of the ways you watched it, they still made money off you.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Number 2, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Wow.
Buena Vista. Wow. And the number 1 top grossing worldwide movie of 1988, rated R, Coming to America, rated R, is Rain Man. Was the number 1 grossing movie of 1988, which we talked about. When it made $355 million in 1988, and the budget was $25 million, which I've got to admit is probably like half of that.
Tom Cruise,
like above the line. Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman, that's right. Dustin Hoffman's in that.
Yeah. And the girlfriend is Valerie Galina, who is in Hot Shots, the Hot Shots girl. That's what I know her
Yeah.
from. And yeah, I was like, I didn't know she was in Rain Man until we watched Rain Man for our prior film watching society.
I would watch every movie on that list.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah.
That's
Well,
wild.
It's
yeah.
crazy that I mean, out of all of those, like you've got Who Framed Roger Rabbit, definitely for families, but
Mhm.
like Coming to America, not really. Crocodile Dundee 2, not really.
Yeah.
Maybe. If that was PG, then it would be. But I don't think Crocodile Dundee 1 was PG. I think that was rated R.
That's PG. That's
Uh,
PG or PG-13.
PG
I know it's
13.
not R because
Okay, yeah,
I
that's
was
right. They
allowed
did
to
have PG 13. They had PG 13 now. So Crocodile Dundee 2 probably PG 13. Twins probably PG 13. That might be a family one. But the rest of those movies, Big is probably so you got like 4 out of the top 10 that
That you
iffy
might be able to take
4
kids to.
that you might be able to take kids to. The rest of them are all like adult movies, which is so weird. It is not the way things normally are. It was
Yeah.
a very strange year in movies.
Yeah, because now it's all about how can you get the collective group into the theater. So like that's why Marvel's done really well because it's kind of kid friendly, but it's kind of adult friendly.
Yep.
Um,
Well, and the other thing
yeah.
is that none of this whole list is like it's not taking into account China and how big China is now in the movie industry. Is you got to do something that like when you talk about a worldwide gross, you really got to get the whole worldwide gross
Right,
of that stuff. China's got to get in.
and putting cheeks in the seats in China. I bet.
No,
I mean,
they're not.
that's the thing that's interesting to me about that list is how many of those movies would just be on Prime or Netflix or Max or like if like I'm just saying, like, if they were greenlit, they would never see the light of a theater. A good example, we watched Juror 2, Juror number 2.
Mm-hmm.
It was a new movie.
Clint Eastwood movie. Yeah.
Yeah, great movie, highly recommended. As just a great, I mean, especially Rumja, you and I love the Law and Orders of the world, and it's totally scratches that itch.
Well, I spoiled myself. I read up the synopsis. I think like, oh man, I probably would have enjoyed this movie.
It's still great. It's still great. But like the fact that came out in theaters is kind of almost shocking because that's the kind of movie that just goes straight to streaming now.
Clint Eastwood, dude, he's got too much pull.
He does.
Yeah, I'll bet
it'd be like Tarantino. He's like, I'm never going to make a movie if you don't put it in theaters. Like, I mean, he made us think about putting it on film. Like, I mean, he shoots on film, but like showing it on film for one of his movies that I didn't get to go see because I'm an idiot. But
yeah.
By the way, did you see the news that David Fincher is going to direct a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel with Brad Pitt that's written by Quentin Tarantino?
Is it going to be a sequel or a prequel? Well, I guess it have to be a sequel because he's older.
I don't know. I would assume it's a sequel, but I don't know.
Yeah, I read that today too, and I was like, kind of took my
It's
my
not
mind to
it's not an April Fool's joke.
right.
Oh, I bet it was.
Mm-mm.
It wasn't on April Fool's? Really? Well, I mean,
It's obviously time to release news, like legitimate news. This time.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's cool. He's obviously written screenplays before that other people made, like Natural Born Killers, which I've never seen because I'm afraid it's going to be disturbing, and True Romance, which I love, and True Romance, Tony Scott.
Wrote both those?
Pardon me?
Tarantino wrote both those?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I knew that. Wow.
Yep.
Oliver Stone did Natural Born Killers, and
Tony Scott
is Tony Scott. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Sorry.
But yeah, you can find. There's a really great. Well, you'd have to find it online now because I'm sure you don't have the 2 DVD set. But the True Romance DVD set had like a Quentin Tarantino commentary. He's like, oh yeah, I remember this is like how I used to watch movies. He's does it the entire, the whole movie. It's really great. It's really great if you like that movie, and I do. And for someone that I don't know if I have a lot of good things to say about Christian Slater's performances, he's really good in that movie.
And
I take that back. I like Christian when he's not imitating Jack Nicholson.
Christian Slater.
He's great, which this movie he doesn't. I don't know.
So in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, is that a plus thumbs up or thumbs down Christian Slater performance?
I mean,
can we put that on the list too?
Absolutely. I mean,
that movie in forever.
That is the. It used to be that. Well, Alan Rickman saves that. We've talked about this before, but that is the guiltiest of all guilty pleasure movies for me. Where it's like I can't deny. Oh, and Morgan Freeman's in it too. That I like that movie, and I used to have the DVD.
Mom.
Yeah, but it's good. And then we can watch the Mel Brooks Robin Hood Men in Tights.
I had never seen that movie, and Stacey's like, "Oh my gosh, she did that. Oh my gosh, you never seen that movie." And we watched it, and I was like, I think this might have aged better in your mind than it did for a new viewer, because it's not a very good movie for someone who's like that has no nostalgia for it.
No, there's with as much as there is to watch. As a Mel Brooks,
Richard Lewis was fantastic. I'll give
yeah, absolutely.
That was funny. I mean, there's some moments, but it's like a lot of it's
Rest in peace, Richard Lewis.
Carrie Elwes.
Carrie Elwes, yeah.
Somebody else died this week too.
Oh,
unless
Val
Kilmer. Unless that was an April Fool's joke. No. Okay.
Top Secret. Put Top Secret on the list.
I've got it.
I've never seen Top Secret.
It's great. It's very, very funny. I haven't
seen it forever. I would love to watch it.
It's on the list.
Going back to Naked Gun. Is it on your list?
It is. Yep. I own it.
So we should watch that.
This is why we don't need to mine for like ideas off Netflix or whatever. Like we got a never-ending supply.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But no, it's if you have seen it, Jeremy, or you have not.
No, Top Secret.
Yeah.
No, I've never seen it. I know it's Mel Brooks and it's Val Kilmer, right?
No, it's the guys that did Naked Gun.
Zuckers and Abrams, the Zucker brothers.
It's like a Bond kind of thing, right? Like it's kind of a Bond spoof.
Yeah,
it's kind of like spies. Yeah, like it's supposed to be like kind of like the old spy movies and like the Elvis rock star movie like spoofs. So, from what I literally just watched the Siskel and Ebert episode on with them.
Really?
About it. So, yes.
What is the Elvis? What the what?
Elvis made a bunch of like it's like the rock star turned movie actor like thing. So he like randomly he'll break out into song, and so he's kind of like
that happens in Top Secret.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's Val Kilmer's character, dude. Val Kilmer can dance and sing. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's yeah. What a pleasure we'll get to watch that. Hope maybe we'll watch it for next episode for Val Kilmer. Or I also have Tombstone on the list if you guys want to watch Tombstone, which would also honor Val Kilmer if you haven't seen Tombstone in a while.
I've seen Tombstone in the last year. Yeah, for sure.
Tombstone's always good. Top Gun's always good. You can kind of throw.
Ooh, I don't have Top Gun. I've only seen Top Gun once, and it's like, I mean, that's one of those things I didn't see it until I was like in my 30s, and so to the nostalgia, it's like, yeah. Like I don't have this like this pumps me up. I'm like, I've heard this song. It's Kenny Loggins.
And it's also like it's probably responsible for a lot of people at our age for our like patriotism. Like it's such a like go America kind of movie. Like
the Goose Man.
Like there's bad guys. I don't know what country they're from.
They're nondescript black flames.
Yeah. And then they like come back like 20 years later and they're like Top Gun Maverick. This time we're fighting who knows again. Someone slightly different and nefarious. They're making weapons in this mountain, and we got to get in there and stop them. We're not going to exactly say who they are, because then it would be questionable if we're allowed to be there. You haven't?
Oh. No, I know it's not Maverick.
I mean, if you have any nostalgia for the original Top Gun, the movie hits every note perfect. It was my favorite movie that year for sure. Nominated for Best Picture as well.
There was a lot of hoopla about it, but to your point, Jeremy, I have zero nostalgia for the first Top Gun. I had no interest in seeing it. I watched like a little thing about how they shot inside the airplanes for like a video interest, and yeah, it's like mind-boggling what they did to do that. Unbelievable. It's like for a movie. Like, what if we fed some people with that? Say what?
My nostalgia for Top Gun is because of Hot Shots.
Of course. Yeah. Dude, I definitely saw Hot Shots 25 years before I saw Top Gun.
My parents taped Top Gun off, I think, HBO when I was a kid. We would have HBO every once in a while. I assume it's because the cable company was giving it away for free. And we'd have like, I don't know if you guys were the same way. We had so many tapes that the little white sticker on it had 3 movies. It was always like 2 or 3 movies.
Got to record an SLP.
And Top Gun cuts off.
Oh man!
Spoilers, I'm sorry, but Goose. Everybody knows about Goose, right? He doesn't make it. The movie cuts off very shortly after Goose dies, and so the movie, you understand how that changes the entire vibe of the whole movie. That Goose dies and then the movie ends. That's not how it ends.
No.
That's how, as a kid, that's all I saw. I never really saw like what happened after that. So it's like, man, what a downer.
People like this movie.
Yeah. You've seen the whole movie now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny because like we
funny.
all probably have like some story that's similar to that, and kids today will never understand the whole like the trouble of watching like a recorded video on a VHS, and you like it's like kind of like Wild West. Like you have no idea what could happen. It could sometimes the movie cuts off and someone like started a recording halfway through and taped over it with something completely different.
Like, here's a quick question. Like, we're at least old enough to live through these eras where there were still movies come out. Like, if your kids did a podcast when they're in their 40s, what movies are they going to talk about?
Oh shit!
TikTok videos? I don't know if your kids have TikTok. I'm not assuming anything, but it's like kids don't really watch. I don't know, movies as much anymore.
They'd probably watch I mean, my kids would talk about Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man.
I would hope, because that's one we've watched. They would watch that. They'd probably talk about with the amount they've watched them. They'd talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean movies because they watch those over and over and over again. They used to watch Star Wars a lot. They don't do that as much, and they don't do that anymore. So
it'd probably be a little bit similar, Rumjo. Like mine would be able to reference like the big event movies. Like we took her to Avatar. Well, not Avatar 1 because she would have been like, I don't know how old. Avatar 2, you know, like the really big movies. These like again, like Coming to America, that's just not an option anymore. I think every kid is going to be like, I can speak to the block. I saw Minecraft in the theater, or I saw whatever. I don't know. I
be like Despicable Me movie.
It's like every kid is
going,
right. Every kid is going to basically have seen all the same movies in the theater. Is what I would predict.
Yeah, like so, like because much more limited, like options, I guess. But then another like thought process, really quick, is so like when your kids are 40 and then they're thinking of movies 30 years old, like we are. That means like what? They could only watch movies. That's too much math for me to do right now. But it's weird to think. Like I guess where my mind was like, there's not going to be that much for people to talk about because it's going to be so scattered, and it's not like these big tentpole things that most people are watching, right?
Were you about to ask though, like what would our kids recommend to their kids?
No. Like if they did a podcast, if they carried on OMIO when they turned 42 or 3, and their rule is it has to be a movie that's 30 years old, they would only be like movies from like 2025 on or something like that.
Ghostbusters Part 7 isn't eligible till next year. Sorry, bro.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know.
This is like the weird thing. It's like back then there were such fewer things, and so they felt bigger. And now they're going to be so many. What they'll have is they'll have an OMIO podcast and be all like, "Yeah, there were like 4,000 movies released in 2025. Which of these have you never heard of that are actually pretty good?" And it's like, all right, let's just go watch this random ass movie from 2025 that nobody's heard of. And yeah,
that's kind of cool too.
That was good. Yeah.
Okay, completely different concept. That makes sense.
Yeah. They'll look at they'll go through and they'll like year 2025 and they'll just look at the posters and they'll be like, all right, that poster looks cool. Let's watch this movie, and that'll be it.
I think also, to be fair as well, like TV is probably the best it's ever been, like in the history of TV. Like there's so much good TV, well, I'm just saying like I think there will be like a lot of kids that are like maybe they don't remember whatever they saw in 2021, but they'll remember they watched Stranger Things. Like that would be a movie event to them. Like Stranger Things, the final season's coming out this year, and Harper's watched it all with Stacy. I'm a little behind. I'm catching up. Like I want to be caught up for the event, like when it happens, so we can all watch it together. So I do think that, like in Sopranos and, um, like more recently, like Ozark, and like there's been a lot of like really good TV
Sure.
that's filled some of the void of what you would have in the theaters.
Oh, and that actually makes total sense to me now because again, that's something that I've completely 100% missed out on, the long form television that started with whatever that first Netflix show was with Kevin Spacey, right?
Oh, House of
Um,
Cards. Yeah.
yeah, but if you remember, like, if I'm pretty sure that was like the first time I was like, Netflix is making a show, and like my stepdad wanted to get Netflix streaming just to watch that. But anyway, again, long form. I guess I watched a
That's
couple
a great
seasons.
call out, Troy. That's a really good call out.
But like so that has, you're totally right, that has taken over, and everyone else is kind of like, not everyone, but like that's kind of what's taken over the public disc or water cooler talk, right? They're talking about what happened on not Evil Dead, Walking Dead. I mean, isn't there a podcast that talks about The Walking Dead?
Talking
So
Dead?
okay, there you go. All right, that's cool. And again, it's something it's since I'm not, I guess, current with it at all, but that totally makes sense. And I was going to also say, it's like, what's even television anymore, right? Like nothing is broadcast over the air, so it's not something like that, and everything is just streaming now. So,
That's
what would that be called? Is it called long form? Is it called a long? Is
still call
there a
it
term?
TV, but like
Right, but that's just because we're old and we don't know what else to call it.
right.
Like we still say we're video. We're not videoing anything. Video is a magnetic tape, right? Or
Right.
whatever. Will you film me? It's like, no, I don't have a film camera.
Well, yeah,
I'll record you.
the TV thing is really interesting too, because like, it was always 30 minutes, or in reality, it was
Yeah,
like
yep.
23 minutes with commercials. And then
Sure.
an hour long drama show was like really like 47 minutes or something with commercials. But now they're not beholden to commercials, but they still call it TV because I guess you're not going to see it in the theater. But like, we just finished up Severance, the new season of Severance, and like one episode's 45 minutes, and then the next episode could be an hour and a half. And like, while it's kind of goofy, I like love that they're like, the episode is as long as we need it to be. That's how long it'll be. It's not to fit in with advertisers, or what, we got to make sure we get done before the Pacers start. It's just they're not beholden to anything. I do appreciate that a lot.
I had a realization while you were talking about like kids remembering back about Stranger Things. It's like they're like in 20 years they're going to be kids having nostalgia for Stranger Things, which was nostalgic for the 80s. And I was like, is there
Mm.
anything like that for us? Because like a time they didn't exist. And I was like, oh
Roger
wait,
Rabbit.
no. We love Indiana Jones and Star Wars, which were George Lucas and Steven Spielberg having nostalgia for the old serials that they watched when they were kids, but now we have nostalgia for those things that they were nostalgic for. It's like blew my mind when I started thinking about that. I'm like,
Wow.
oh man, that's what kids are going to be nostalgic for. They're going to be nostalgic for things that they have no idea about.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like stolen valor for nostalgia. I have nostalgia for something that was somebody else was nostalgic for. It's so
Wow.
weird.
That's
It
a great
is.
observation.
That's what I love about this conversation is that we've talked about Roger Rabbit for probably 5 minutes
Yeah.
because it's such a good movie that it's almost like why talk about it, but we've had such good conversation for 40 minutes now of other things. So I want another unverified fact, Jeremy, because I bet we can go on another 20-minute tangent.
No. This is a good one. I think this is something that we're all waiting to talk about. This ties in directly to the absolutely incredible blending of animation and live action, and the effects in this are, I mean, I was watching this and like,
So
this
good.
is one of the things I love about this era of movies. Like, we're pre-CG. We know they can't fake it, so they had to do it some way. And there's some shots in this movie where I'm just like, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it. So, unverified fact that ties directly in, segue. When Eddie takes Roger Rabbit into the back room at the bar where Dolores works to cut apart the handcuffs, the lamp from the ceiling is bumped and swinging. Do you guys remember that?
And the shadow goes.
Yeah. There you go. Lots of extra work was needed to make the shadows match between the actual room shots and the animation. Today, quote unquote, bump the lamp is a term used by many Disney employees to refer to going that extra mile on effect just to make it a little more special, even though most audience members will never notice it. And there's probably, I mean, you could probably have a film studies class on all the like little details in this movie, because I've never really noticed them. As a kid, you're just like cartoons with people, like you're not watching for shadows and stuff like that. But I watched a little more closely on this one, and I'm sure there's probably hundreds of effects I missed. But I think that it's unbelievable. I cannot believe they pulled this off.
Yeah, I was just gonna pop in and say, because I have the. It says it's the. This is something that I've never seen, or very very rarely have seen on these digital purchases anyway. But it says, bonus edition or whatever. There's an hour and 40 minutes of behind the scenes on my version of it that goes through like.
Oh wow!
I mean, like it.
That's super cool.
What blows my mind, it's probably posted on YouTube. Almost everything is posted on YouTube now, as far as behind the scenes or commentaries, which is, YouTube. It's weird. This, monopoly thing.
Brought to you by StreamYard.
Yeah. But just meaning it's like there's just so many beautiful things out there that you can get. That it's like, how would I listen to the Quentin Tarantino True Romance? It's like they don't probably reproduce that anymore. It's like this one DVD that came out in 2006. But just going to post it on YouTube. Anyway, watching that and what they do, and then watching the movie, and it's like all that work. And sometimes it's like a couple seconds. Like maybe, like to your point, Jeremy, you said no one noticed. It's like, if I wouldn't have watched that and then tried to find things, I would have never appreciated any of it or noticed any of the stuff. Even so much of like, I guess I kind of realized that the cartoons were interacting with stuff, but it goes so quick and it's just so natural that I wouldn't. And then the second rewatch, I'm really looking out for everything. It's like, wow, like every door, everything that it's unbelievable to the mind that would try to think it to shoot it. And then the people on the other end that have to animate over, it's like, fuck, dude. I love, dude, bumping the lamp. That's great. That's what a cool term.
If true,
going the extra mile.
Yeah. No, bump the lamp is like a true thing. I've heard
is
that
it okay?
Before.
Okay, I hadn't heard it before I read this stuff.
Yeah, I they had a 30-minute on Disney Plus. I watched it on Disney Plus because it's on Disney Plus.
Okay,
and so
cool.
I watched a little 30-minute like thing where they talked a little bit about it. So it's probably not as in depth as the hour and 40. Definitely not, but they did show like some of the mechanical things that they use. They show like this giant like plastic rabbit that they would put in before they actually like shot a scene, and so like Bob Hoskins would get his sight lines and know where to look, like a physical thing, and then they'd take it away and then he would act it out, and so he would know like where to look and how to be doing things. I was like, man, that is crazy. And they actually had like the voice actor for Roger Rabbit, Charlie Fleischer, was like on set for most of the shoot when Roger Rabbit was there, so he could be like saying the lines to Bob Hoskins and having kind of a real back and forth. He wasn't clearly in the camera, but he was off camera having the lines so that Bob Hoskins could be heard.
Dressed as Roger Rabbit.
As Roger Rabbit, yes, he did. He was a very bizarre guy, apparently, but
like they don't have voice actors on set really anymore. I don't think on movies like that.
They don't make many movies that have voice acters near. They don't make many
all
movies that are like
actors.
this.
Yeah. It's like Pixar or whatever. But yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I'm sure to your point where you were talking about this being like one of the most expensive movies ever made at the time. It's like that probably scared things off. But it'd be one of those things where it's like, other than Cool World, I can't think of any other movie. It's like, boy, we try to get 2D animation and 3D animation, and not just like Mary Poppins, where you're not really there with them. It's like I would have thought like, man, this movie's so successful, everybody's going to want to try and do something like this. And then it's like, all right, you got Cool World and you got Space Jam, and that's basically
ironically it. I don't know if you heard about this it's a kind of a big story that just broke this week around did you read about Coyote versus Acme?
Yes. Yep.
So Troy, you may not be familiar with this. It's It's a movie. It's a live action cross animated movie, like very much in this vein, and it's Wile E. Coyote. I believe he's taking Acme to court
Yeah.
for their products or something, and
Okay.
like for all the times that they failed him. And Warner Bros. Made the movie. It's got Will Arnett. It's got a bunch of good people in it, and apparently it's like really good. But Warner Brothers was like, we can just use this as a tax write-off, and they just tanked the movie, even though they paid for it. And so people, obviously everybody involved with the movie, Will Arnett's been pretty vocal about how upset he was over it, but basically people are like, what the fuck? Like, we made this movie, we're really proud of it, and then you're just going to tank it for a tax credit. Well, apparently, just this week, this is dated March 31st. They like put it up kind of for, I don't know if it was for auction or like who wants to make a bid on this, and
Nice.
and now it's going to come out. But it's kind of cool because, like, to your point, there's like very few of these movies, and I know this movie will probably have some cool effects, but a lot of it will be CG driven.
So you're saying a movie company can cheat the system to make more money or save money through a tax scandal, and then just a couple of years later sell it and probably make $100 million or whatever and get away with it?
I would
awesome.
Guess, I'm not a tax expert, but I would guess if you pull back and then ultimately release it, you can no longer take it as a tax loss, right? Like,
but that was years ago. This is
no. It was supposed to be out in the last 2 years that the movie was supposed to release, and then they said it was when the Rumja, I'm sure you followed this, the whole like Warner Brothers like fire sale where they just sold off like tons of shit. Like there was the Batgirl movie that was completely done that I heard was actually not that bad, at least from people inside, and they're just like, no, we're not going to release it. So like Warner Brothers stock right now is at a all-time low, I would guess, within the fandom or whatever. But yeah, and that happens in the video game industry all the time too, where like Sony will be like, we're going to cancel this project because we're not confident in it, and we can take a tax write-off on it, and that's going to be better for us than if we release it and it fails. Like good Lord, what was that? What was that train wreck? That's Concord. Yeah. Like, I'll bet they wish they had written that off, but I'm guessing you can't do that if you release it. I don't know how that works, but
yeah,
I think they paid everybody back. They paid everybody back that bought it, and so I think they probably can take it as a tax write-off. They just be like, we pulled it from the market. We refunded everybody their money, and now we're going to write it off.
And they acted in good faith when they did all that. I mean, at least in my eyes, it looked like they acted in good faith. So, yeah. Anyway, it's sketchy. It's really sketchy, Troy. And this is like the bummer bro of the modern entertainment industry, I think. But
we all vote with our wallets, man.
But I think, like, at least me personally, Coyote versus Acme is like going to be one that I'm going to try to seek out and watch in a legal means to like, because like somebody's going to be taking a risk on this to put it out there, and I think it looks kind of cool, and it's a hilarious concept too. Like when you think about it, like Wile E. Coyote is in the courtroom as an animated character with his human lawyer. Like that's very descendant of this movie that we're talking about tonight.
I think the concept sounds
back in action. I think they also did that one, so that they tried it with Looney Tunes once with Brendan Fraser, and it did not go well for them. So
I still want to see Detective Pikachu, which is kind of the same thing. Although I know that's CG, but
it's a good movie. I think it's a good movie.
Really? Okay, I'm gonna seek it out.
I have zero shame in seeing. We saw it in theater. We had a great time.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, Harper was really into Pokemon at the time.
What was I gonna? I thought I had something to bring up with that. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Oh no! Like the concept sounds funny. Like again, I was sitting there smiling, like, oh, this is going to come out, or this is going to be a cartoon or something. Like, oh no, I dig the concept. And to your point, it's like again the whole tax scale. I mean, like, dude, every industry in the world does that kind of shit. So it's whatever. It's just another indication of like, well, what do you expect if the world goes to shit? Like everyone's cheating everybody, but
we just don't have enough money collectively on this call for us to cheat.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I can't write off the church pew behind me. But I would say, like, just exactly what you're saying now. It's already a news story that it might come out, which means it'll be so much hyped up, like the movie that you didn't think you were going to see. It'll be the biggest thing for a weekend, and then no one's going to care. So it's fine. But I, to your point, I want to watch it. It sounds the concept sounds hilarious to me.
Yeah,
and new. It sounds fucking new. It's not just it's a new Wile E. Coyote and that guy that owns the I know his name. No, the popular guy that's Deadpool. He's in all the commercials. Thank you. Ryan Reynolds is Wile E. Coyote, and Chris Pratt is the Roadrunner.
The Roadrunner.
It's like, okay, whatever. But this sounds hilarious.
In a tie-in also, like the Acme products are pretty important in this movie as well.
That's a good point.
Bringing
it back to Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, like the little Rumja brought it up, the little disappearing black hole things. We got the hammer that has the shootout thing, which I love that the movie does the whole early on in the movie when he comes to investigate the murder, the cop is razzing him with it, and like that might be something later. Maybe that'll be important at a later time in this movie. More fun facts, unverified facts.
Sure.
I thought this was kind of interesting. We don't really think of it this way, but this movie is kind of a period piece, right? It's
definitely.
During production, there was a disagreement over the way Looney Tunes characters should look. Warner Brothers wanted the filmmakers to use characters as they appeared in their merchandising at the time, which 80s Looney Tunes and early 90s Looney Tunes was very hot, while the producers insisted on having the characters looking the way they had looked in the time period where the film is set, mid to late 1940s. Dummy footage using modern designs was sent to Warner Brothers, so that would be weird to see, for approval, while the animators used the period appropriate designs in the actual film. So they lost that.
Interesting.
This we haven't talked too much about voice acting, so this is a good one.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Jessica Rabbit's speaking voice was performed by Kathleen Turner.
Great voice.
And her singing voice was performed by Amy Irving. Only Irving was credited. I did not check the credits to see if Kathleen Turner was referenced.
She was not. Nope.
Robert Zemeckis previously directed Turner in Romancing the Stone.
It's Michael Douglas. Amy Irving was formerly married to Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg was an executive
before
producer.
or after Temple of Doom?
Capshaw before. So they were married. I think they were married from 85 to 89, and then Spielberg married Kate Capshaw in 90, if I remember reading up about it right. So, but they had dated. So they had dated early on, and then I think they broke up for a little bit, and that was because Amy Irving was going to be Marion Ravenwood in Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is all I read on Wikipedia. It could be total garbage, but then because they broke up, or it's like, well, you're dating Steven Spielberg, so you can't be in this movie. Like, it's too much of a conflict of interest. So she wasn't Marion Ravenwood, though I think they wanted her to be. And then she got married. They married, and then they divorced. I think it was a very expensive divorce, very messy divorce.
I'm sure Steven Spielberg is doing okay. He made a couple movies after that. Yeah,
he did.
So here, real quick interjection. Not interjection, really, but because it has to do with voice acting. The first rewatch, I was really struggling with Roger Rabbit. Second rewatch, it's the character Roger Rabbit, not the movie Roger Rabbit. Second rewatch, I was prepared, so I actually found some humor in some of his antics, but love the awesome voice, that good cartoon voice. He does the like that's his little one of it, gimmicks. But any reservations about that character at all for either of you?
No.
Really? Okay.
Under arrest. It's like the noises he makes are so silly. I don't know. I've always liked him.
It's like I don't have a problem with it. Like, that's part of the movie. Like, obviously one of the biggest parts, but it is a little grating. It's very high pitched a lot of the time. And then there's obviously some suspenseful sequences in the movie where he like fucks them over royally because he can't shut the fuck up. And I'm like, dude, just like have some self-preservation in this moment. Like if you just be quiet, you maybe you won't get dipped here in a second.
But he's a toon, Jeremy.
So
He can't
they have
control
no
himself.
self-control. Is that how that
He
works?
can't. The only way
Get a haircut.
what sold me on it was his excuse of I can only take my hand out of the handcuff when it's funny. And up until that point, it was suspenseful. It was only funny when he does. Like, okay, that's for me anyway. That set the rules for everything in his character as well.
Fair. That's fair.
And it said it was the second time I didn't find it nearly as obnoxious. The first time I was like, oh boy, what did we get ourselves into? Did you watch it with? Did either of you watch it with your kids?
Yes.
Did they like it?
No, I watched it with my boys like 2 years ago or something, and Eva was like, "It's probably too adult for them to continue watching this movie." And I was like, "Fine," but they loved it. I mean,
Okay,
I'm talking like
cool.
a 7 and a 5-year-old. They were loving it. They love that slapstick humor, like that introduction. They loved the hell out of that introduction.
Yeah, Harper dug it.
Really?
And she kind of gets into like, we're introducing her into some like light crime kind of stuff, nothing super scarring, but so yeah, it kind of like has like a crime movie, and then you got animation somehow combined with it.
I just think out of context that pull quote. We're introducing our kid to like light crime. Nothing too heavy duty, but like light crime. Like, oh, that's good. Nothing too serious.
Misdemeanors.
Yeah, no felonies. Oh my god.
Felony 3s are fine, but 1 and 2 are that's
right.
That's too much. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that they liked it because I would have bet the opposite. Like, this is boring. Nothing's going on. Like, who are these old people? Because like the lead human characters are all old, which I loved. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, appropriate age people, not 22-year-old or 25-year-old. That girl that was just in the substance or something like that, being the diner girl. Like, no, I don't want that shit. I want someone in their 40s or 50s. Like, I don't know how old Bob Hoskins is. He's not dating a 25-year-old. Just beautiful. I loved it.
They've all gone through the Great Depression. They're
about
to. And it's all just like, they're weary of the weary or whatever. And they've lived hard lives. These aren't people that are like glamorous and young. It's hard boiled. It's great. Bob Hoskins, by the way, we got to shout out Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Good.
Yeah.
So good.
His final dance number, I know that was alluded to earlier. It started and I was like, I remember this and I still don't know how I feel about it. And by the end, it's kind of one of those things where like in lesser hands, it doesn't work. And he like really commits to the bit. And obviously there's like a very tense moment in the movie. And like, there's a plot driven reason why he's trying to do that too. I thought he was great.
Well, I love how it not only calls back to that, but it's also the Roger Rabbit when he played "Merry Go Round Broke Down," rather loony choice for a bunch of drunken reprobates. Christopher Lloyd, amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
Worked, old Doc Brown. That's
Was
how
it
like that, I'm sure.
Good call. Christopher Lloyd's great. Another unverified fact: Tim Curry auditioned for the role of Judge Doom. Robert Zemeckis, Steven Spielberg, and Jeffrey Katzenberg and Michael Eisner found his performance quite terrifying. I wonder if it was too much.
I bet.
I could see being too much. When we get the reveal, so spoilers for the Texas listeners and the Chinese, when he grabs, like something happens and he grabs his eye, like, oh, he lost. You don't know why he's grabbing his eye. But then the final reveal that he's a toon, and when the googly crazy eyes come on, that's animated on his body, is terrifying. Also, the reinflation of his body, and the squiggly squished version, all of it's deeply unsettling.
Oh yeah.
He's so good in the
motion.
Yeah.
Remember me, Eddie? there's all these different things that just like get me. Like
I laughed so hard the second time I rewatched it. I talk just like that. I was like, why is that so funny? It's, oh my God.
Yeah, but it's
Legit.
scary too.
Yeah.
It's funny and frightening.
yeah, it is so frightening.
Good job, Christopher
Yeah,
Lloyd.
when he dipped that shoe, I know a lot of people like that. I remember that and being like, that is so scary. That poor shoe. When he looks up with those like it's like a dog, and he looks up with those like big puppy eyes. Like, why are you doing this? It's like,
Big old Disney eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another reason they'd never make something like this again. Like, you couldn't melt some character with Disney eyes in 2025. I don't think. I mean, maybe the wacky multiverse movies do. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that shoe sequence is deeply unsettling.
I don't know, like the actual ingredients in it are just like it's the things that I'm sure the artists used to take off like previous drawings that they put onto cells and
Rumja,
such.
you might be interested to hear this. The dip that kills Toons is made of turpentine, acetone, benzene, paint, acetone. Is that what I said?
Mm-hmm.
I was assuming
I was trying to think in my head. No, I was thinking in my head. Isn't it acetone? Yeah. So yeah.
And paint thinners used to remove images from cells of film.
There we go.
That was like on purpose, I guess. Another alternate what if scenario on casting. I love alternate casting, like finding out.
Yeah.
Like Will Smith was maybe going to be in the Matrix instead of Keanu Reeves. Like that's really interesting to me.
Ooh boy, they dodged a bullet there.
All right, so on the special edition DVD, Robert Zemeckis recounts that he had stated in a newspaper interview that Bill Murray was his and executive producer Steven Spielberg's original choice for the role of Eddie Valiant, but neither could get in contact with him in time. Because cell phones didn't exist, probably.
And Bill Murray's like, fuck this.
Well, plot twist. Murray, in turn, has stated when he read the interview, he was in a public place and he screamed his lungs out because he would have definitely accepted the role.
Wow.
And that's a different movie, I think. I kind of like Bob Hoskins better in my mind. I mean, I don't know what Bill Murray would have done with it, but Bob Hoskins
I do not like the idea. I do not like the idea of Bill Murray in this role. I don't know why they think that. Like, looking at the results, you can't have somebody who's trying to be funny or is like naturally kind of funny with the tunes. It does not work. It does not work as a contrast. You know, why would Bill Murray would be like too aloof. He would be too kind of I feel like, you know, the way he would play it. Maybe he
Bob Hoskins plays it straight. Like he plays it like he's in this situation with a bunch of tunes that annoy him, and he doesn't want to be here doing this, but he has to because he's down on his luck, and he's like he sells it so well.
Yeah,
I would only with that explanation, Jeremy. Thinking of like Groundhog Day performance without the kind of sarcasm, snark, but with the motivation of Eddie Valiant, the character. Used to like being a toon, used to be a clown, right? So he has that in his past where it was part of him. This facade of I'm a gruff guy is a facade. So that's him acting, right? What's the actor's name?
Hoskins.
Tom Hoskins. Thank you, Mario. Yeah. So like it's him acting like he doesn't like it until the end. He kisses Roger. It's like, oh, he really did like it the whole time. He was gruff. So I would say that Bill Murray could have the range if he was committed to it. But would he be committed to it, or would he play it like a snarky Peter Venkman? Who knows?
Right. Well, and he also had like the scene where he's in the ink and paint club, and he's like pissed off at the penguin who brings him the thing with rocks in it. He's pissed off that he's got to go into this ink and paint club.
I want ice.
And then he sees Betty Boop.
It was so good.
And like. And his reaction with Betty Boop, you're like, you can see like in his face, like the way he's talking to her, he's like. It's like he's hearkening back to a time when he liked being with tunes, and he was like, he had like that genuine smile on his face, and it's like, it's not that he's just gruff all the time. Like you can see, it's such a good performance. It is so good.
Yeah.
Here's what. Oh man, I'm glad we brought up that joke.
By the way, random voice aside. So they got the original voice actress for Betty Boop. So, and she's also the one who does the fake Jessica Lena Hyena, who's like,
Okay.
Mario, like that's like a classic Warner Brothers like type of voice
Oh,
actress.
sure.
That lady who does that voice actress is the like super old grandma lady in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the one who like sings the
Hmm.
national anthem as the prayer for the.
Oh,
It's that's that actress.
a
That's the same person. So
blessing.
That does Betty
yes,
Boop.
Wow,
yeah,
really? Wait, so that's the
hmm
voice of Betty Boop in Christmas Vacation.
yes,
Wow,
that old lady.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Last thing I'm going
And
to
they got
say.
She's
they got
vo-
Mel Blanc. They got Mel Blanc. They got June Foray, who did Rocky, like the Rocky from Rocky and Bullwinkle. She did tons and tons and tons of voice acting. So
that has to
it's
be
so
where
cool.
the cost, the cost came from. This cost $70 million. Like, then they said that the cast was ultra long. Like, I'll bet there was no particular actor that was very expensive in this. Like, not any in any excessive way, like out of the norm. But like
Right.
I
the
don't think
sheer
so.
number of cast, and there's probably a lot of like royalty payments, and then the special effects, I
Yeah,
guess, would probably have been
it's
expensive.
got to be. It's got to be the amount of animators that are doing
Yeah.
all the different
Yeah.
layers upon. It's not just like we're just drawing 2D things in a 3D world. Where they're like you said, with the shadows and everything that they're
Yeah.
trying to do to make it look like they're really in that world and such. So, yeah,
Good time
that's
for
got
an
to be it too.
unverified fact that ties directly into this. For this movie,
Yes.
animation director Richard Williams set out to break three rules that previously were conventions for combining live action and animation. First, move the camera as much as possible so the tunes don't look pasted onto flat backgrounds. So that makes sense why that would be extremely difficult. Second, use lighting and shadows to an extreme that was never before attempted. And third, have the tunes interact with real world objects, as we've already talked about with the lamp, and people as much as possible.
The scene, I think they talk about it like they did a test, but that scene where they're going into the ink and paint club and they have the octopus with like 8 hands, and
Yeah, holding a drink.
there's so much holding drinks and taking
Yeah,
money from people and all that stuff, and it's like oh, they could have had the like Bob Hoskins gets a animated gun. The Weasels could have had an animated gun, but they don't. They got real guns.
the
That blew
weasel,
my mind, the weasel
the
guns.
weasels with the guns
Yeah,
was the one that jumped out to me
Because it
too.
was like doing that. I was like, what?
yeah.
How?
I mean,
Yeah,
strings, of course, but like, it's still the extreme pain in the ass that this movie would
Yeah.
have been.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't. I mean, I'm lazy. I would just be like, no fucking way.
yeah.
No, just don't make the movie. Like, that's fine. I'll go play guitar or something like that. Like, I can't believe you guys would do this.
Yeah.
I'm so
there
glad
had-
that people have that passion for that kind of art. I'm not a good. I can't draw to save my life. So I'm glad people do, because it's a marvel for sure.
Yeah, there had to have been moments while they were making this of like, how are we, like, we've already shot the scene. How do we make this work? And like, there had to have been like almost like a video game, like where they were grinding and burn out on like working this. Like, how can we make this work? Because there would have been next to zero computers involved.
Yeah, I mean, storyboards, sure. Like you said with the plastic rabbit, like you kind of know, but still, man, like filming that with nothing there is just crazy. I mean, I know modern green screen and stuff, but so many modern green screen movies like that, the actor can like the Lord of the Rings, right? He was on set, wasn't he? Like with what the hell was that guy's name?
Oh, Andy Serkis.
Yeah, and he was one of the apes too in Planet of the Apes, right? But like, there's people physically moving around, and they just kind of like, and I know it's way more complicated than that, but it's not just nothing there, and then someone's going to draw on top of that. It's just
That's
it's
remind
crazy.
me what the Planet of the Apes movies are called again, Troy. We had this conversation in the last episode of
Rise of the Planet of the Apes,
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was the first one.
Yes.
Dude, don't quiz. I would lose this quiz immediately. War of
I'm
the
just
Planet.
laughing because we had this exact conversation of there's so many. There's Dawn, there's Rise, there's War, and there's Kingdom. It's like I don't remember what the order is. There's just all this, but I'm just. It's what we call callback, Troy. It's a
Surely. Oh
callback.
yeah. But yeah. just crazy.
I see here's another note. John Cleese expressed interest in playing Judge Doom as well.
Okay.
Steven
Monty
Spielberg
Python. No.
Steven Spielberg and Robert Zemeckis refused, thinking no one would be able to take a former member of Monty Python seriously as a sadistic villain. Yes. However, Spielberg was still impressed by his audition and gave Cleese the role of the villain in villainous Cat R. Wall in American Tail, Fievel Goes West. I feel like that's a downgrade role.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Quick toon vehicle. There's just so many random Judge Doom like words. I just love saying. I can't say them as well as Christopher Lloyd can. He's so.
Is Christopher Lloyd still with us?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Okay. Thank goodness.
I think he's real big on the convention scene. Like they'll be
really.
You got random actor from Back to the Future and Christopher Lloyd. Like Biff will probably be at like a convention. But yeah, I think he does all that.
I mean, that's a good point. Like I would like.
It's a good.
We obviously know him as like these huge role, but like was he in that much more? He was Uncle Fester, which I've never seen the Addams Family movies, but I know he was in those, and those were pretty popular.
He was.
He's probably one of the best parts of those movies.
Taxi. He's in Taxi.
On
Taxi.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
But meaning like, has he been in movies the past 20 years? Like it makes sense to go do conventions and make money.
He was in Piranha 3D. I know that.
Oh, interesting. Now he's a great actor.
I want to know. I'm going to look up right now. Because he's this crazy old man in Back to the Future. There's something that's making me wonder if he was younger than we are now.
When he played it, almost certainly.
I'm going to see if I can figure that out.
He was probably like 41.
I mean, if you remember him from Taxi, if you ever seen it's like an episode or a clip of Taxi, he looked like he was strung out and old even back then, and he was probably in his like late 20s. So he's always had that kind of older, more than his years. He looks older than his years.
He was born in 1938, so that might. He is genuinely really
50.
old.
He was 50. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 50. Might as well just give up at that point. That's like us in like 5 years.
Yep. What good are we? So is it weird that the males were attracted to Jessica Rabbit, or is that just part of the universe? Were there rules going between Toontown and regular town because they broke that wall down, which seemed like a big deal, but that there's a carport that just goes there? So what's up with that? And my favorite joke that made me laugh the most out of anything, back to Bob Hoskins' performance, is when he's hanging on the line and Tweety walks up and he just goes, "Hi, Tweety." Like, I don't know why that's a perfect line, but dude, I laughed so loud when that I watched that again. It's the second rewatch. So yeah, pretty good.
I mean,
anything else?
Your question about Jessica Rabbit is, I mean, like you kind of can't talk about this movie without talking about her as a character, like
which we haven't.
I mean, I don't know how to go into it without sounding like a creepster, but like no matter when I've watched this movie, what age I was, she was an attractive character. It's a cartoon. I don't care if it's weird. They obviously knew what they were doing when they drew her or animated her. Like,
well, yeah, she's not bad. She's just drawn that way.
Yeah,
right. That was actually voted number 83 on the 100 greatest movie lines by Premiere in 2007.
There you go. But it's not only that; it's only that she looks attractive, but she also has that like
sultry voice.
Kathleen Turner's voice is very very attractive.
Two unverified facts about Jessica Rabbit. Bob Hoskins claimed that Jessica Rabbit was not yet sketched by the animators when filming Wrapped, so he had no idea what the character would look like. Robert Zemeckis told Hoskins to imagine his ideal sexual fantasy. Hoskins claimed that his mental image was less risque than what Jessica actually looked like when the film was completed. And then this is interesting too, just from an animation standpoint, to give Jessica's ample bosom an unusual bounce. Supervising animator Russell Hall reversed the natural up-down movements of her breastises as she walked. They bounce up when a real woman's would bounce down, and vice versa. I don't know why you would go to that trouble, but she's an
I'll have
iconic. She's an iconic character in movie
for
history at this
sure,
point, for sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Oh no, it's just, I picked up on that. I was like, I don't know if that's weird or not, but I do love the explanation that he and it also melts my mind, like how good of an actor he is, because you just assume that he's acting with this person. The eye line, the sight lines don't always match up 100%. Still, I completely bought into it, but it's like you have no idea what it's even supposed to look like. That's crazy. But your cue is your motivation is your biggest sexual desire. Like, okay, like now going to back, if I rewatch it again sometime in the next couple of years, like thinking that when I'm watching him perform. So that's fun, interesting.
I like also that the like, I think this is very funny. Like one of my favorite jokes of the whole movie. The thing that sets everything in motion for the whole movie is that she was playing patty cake. And so, like, it's clearly for the adults supposed to be like, oh, it's an innuendo. They're not really, but they really were playing patty cake. And it's like a triple entendre.
Yeah,
Or an entendre that doubles back to like the original meaning.
Man.
Like, it's so funny to me that like they really were playing patty cake, and that Roger would be so distraught to be accused of murder over her playing patty cake. It's great. It's like I love it when you can take the innuendo in and out of the joke and it still works, which is hard to do. But
that's why it's so good. Anything else before we top recording and talk about Switch 2?
I'll just rattle off a few random ones. The truck
Sure.
full of bowling balls, pianos, etc., in which Jessica Rabbit and subsequently Eddie Valiant crash in Toontown is labeled. This is a great joke. Acme overused gags. That's funny.
It's funny.
And it was probably for half of a second. Just
Right.
like if you saw, I had to pause it multiple times when he opens his toon gun and it says like something from Yosemite Sam. Like, oh, yeah, makes sense. But like, if I didn't pause it, I never would have been able to read it. What did you say, Matt Jones?
The one thing that bugged me about that, though, is that he got a gun from Yosemite Sam, but earlier in the movie, when he was like, he's never been this close to Toontown, Yosemite Sam got blown over because he had, my biscuits are burning, fire in the hedge, and he sat down. He didn't say anything to him at all. He didn't be all like, yeah, I got your gun, bud. How's it going?
Oh, hey,
I'm like,
how you been?
that bothered me a little bit. It's like, you should have had some sort of like, oh, what's up, Sam? Like, if that was really from him, but I don't know.
That's a good point.
Movie is horrible. Unsubscribe.
The gag of the Toon Pelican falling off his bicycle came about by accident. Originally, the Pelican would have ridden straight past the camera, but the effects technicians were unable to keep the bike upright. The filmmakers decided to let the bike fall and animate the Pelican losing his balance.
Oh,
That's fun.
how you make it work?
All right, last two relating to Bob Hoskins, R.I.P.
When did he pass?
It's been
That
like
was a few years
10
back.
or 15 years.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
To get the feel of acting with cartoon characters, Bob Hoskins studied his 3-year-old daughter playing with her imaginary friends. That's fun. Again, very unverified. Well, I mean,
Sounds true.
That could be completely made up. But I like this one too. This is another heartwarming one. Bob Hoskins said that for 2 weeks after seeing the movie, his young son wouldn't talk to him. When finally asked why, his son couldn't believe that his father would work with cartoon characters such as Bugs Bunny and not let him meet them.
That's cute.
And like that's very cute. So, I think that like speaks well to like the vibe of the movie. Like it works so well as a crime detective movie and as a fun family movie. It's not often that works that well.
And again, like, to hear that neither of your kids were like picking it apart as something old and like that's stupid. There's no way there's a cartoon there. Like, because I'm guessing like that's what my snarky brain would think I'd be doing if I was, watching something from the 60s when my parents would show me something like, this is stupid. So that's great. That's super cool. Timeless.
It kind of sucks to have to do this, but like, so when I think it's when Roger Rabbit gets the first drink of whiskey because he flips out. But I think it happens twice in the movie.
Yep.
And he bolts through the window, and you see him cut through not only the blinds but the glass. And I paused the movie. I'm like, Harper, do you understand? Like they had to figure out a way to do that. Like they can't just fix it later. Like I was trying to point out to her regularly during the movie, like look at the craft that went into this, because our kids just will not, they won't be able, it's going to be very difficult for them to recognize that as being special.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm sure there's still practical effects movies going, right? Like, you guys are much more familiar with like newer movies now, but I'm sure there's been like that. What's that? I haven't seen it, but I should because it won an Oscar. The Leonardo DiCaprio where he like eats raw fish or whatever. Like, I know there's a fake bear.
The Revenant?
But yeah, but everything else is like natural light and you're out in the fucking horrible weather and stuff. Like, that's a real, but somebody else would have made that all green screens. I mean, George Lucas made it all on green screens for all the Star Wars movies, right? And those kind of big environments. So people will do it, but you got to have like people that are really dedicated. So maybe one of your kids will like, you guys showed them all these classic movies. Like, no, I'm going to shoot on fucking film, right?
It's
definitely.
It sucks, but I think the place that it's happening the most is horror. I think horror films are still, because like you can still make, like, that's probably the one area of the film industry where you can make something on a pretty reasonable budget and make crazy profits. If you get the right distributor and all that. But yeah, I kind of feel like that's the only area where people are still trying to do that. Like, like not your guys' jam probably, but the Terrifier movies.
Oh yeah.
Are like horrifically graphically violent, but I've watched them all. And I don't apologize, but kind of a little bit. But there's almost like kind of a fun to watch, of like, this is insanity how they did this, and it's all, like, I know they can't have used CG. It's like Terrifier is somewhere in the lineage of Who Framed Roger Rabbit in terms of special effects. That's
for practical.
I'll stop.
I mean, like, it makes sense for horror movies.
I was just gonna say, I was thinking back to what Jeremy said about that bike. Can you imagine them filming that and be all like, screw it, we'll just have some animator like draw a pelican screwing up, and the guy, you take him his word for the day. He's like, all right, I'm just drawing that pelican riding by, right? And they're like, yeah, about that. Bike fell over, so you're gonna have to draw him going like crazy, and it's like, are you kidding me? I had a vacation planned this weekend.
Right.
Yeah, so you're
going out to dinner tonight.
Frame by frame.
Sorry, honey. I gotta stay home.
The bike fell over.
Draw the pelican. The bike fell over, and they couldn't get it to go straight. Oh man, I bet there was a lot of that in this whole thing, where these animators are just like, "What the hell did they film? We gotta make this up." Guess you do. It's like, oh man. So
tough, but they're remembered, and people are talking about it.
Yep.
30 some years later, 37 years later, 36 years later. Right?
Yeah.
That's wild. Right. All right. Final thoughts or comments, concerns? We're going to do, did we decide on the Val Kilmer movie? Yeah. Cool. Okay. Great.
Two comedies in a row. Woo!
This one worked out. Yeah, I do. This one worked out really well. I think. Like, we're under an hour and a half. We didn't have, the detailed notes, which I was actually afraid of. Like, well, what's going to happen? But like, it worked great. And so yeah, that works for me.
It did help that we went on some sizable tangents.
Precisely, but
I enjoyed it.
If you or I had a timestamp list, like, oh, yeah, I have to talk about this plot point, then I would have been trying to get back to my list, or you would get back to your list, versus just like, let's just talk about everything, and then you naturally came back to like, oh, we didn't talk about Jessica Rabbit, or we didn't talk about Bob Hoskins 45 minutes into the conversation.
Texas listeners, if you're going to write in and complain, my recommendation is to watch the movie. And you don't need the timestamps. There you go.
That's right.
Fuck you, Texas listeners.
So yeah, Texas listeners, write in if you've listened. But we'll either be back next 2 weeks recording, or we won't. But I'm going to stop the record, and then we'll talk about. Oh yeah, maybe for the last time. Probably not though. Where's the damn record button? This thing is always screwing with me. Oh, here it is.
I can't
And
hold my arms up any longer.
I know.
There's gonna be somebody out there, Troy, that's like, oh, you're still recording, but I'll say it. There's gonna be somebody out there that's gonna be like, man, I was waiting the whole episode to hear them talk about the Switch 2.
And
Then it cuts off.